just read, because we have Nicolette here as a guest, which is fantastic. And of course, we shouldn't forget the jingle. And today we have read some amazing passages. We've read Judith 13, which is the climax of the last few days of reading, where obviously things have been going badly for the Israelites. The Syrians are knocking on the door. Judith goes out into the night. Everyone's thinking she's nuts. And then this amazing story with how do you actually say his name? Holofernes?
Holofernes.
I did say it right. It's one of those thdo you just have to say it and hope that it's right. And she beheads him today. We were left on a cliffhanger yesterday, because she's invited to the dinner with all sorts of salacious intents from Holofernes, and then of course she beheads him today. So what do you make of that? Is it a passage I couldn't actually remember yesterday? I have to say, disgrace. Really, I couldn't remember how it finished yesterday.
Right.
So I had to read it during the night. And then, of course, when you get there, you go, oh, of course, it's that Judith Holofernes. Like, everyone on earth has painted it. Titian and Caravaggio, very famously. It's on the Sistine Chapel ceiling.
It's a dramatic scene that you can see that has a lot of visual potential.
And you can interpret it in lots of different ways, interestingly, from actively head cutting to sort of carrying a head in a sort of in the food bag. Well, that was kind of an interesting detail.
Yes.
And then,
I suppose that's the only thing that she would normally be carrying, that she could sneak the head away from, so that nobody noticed them as they snuck out.
And that was the other interesting thing, was snucking out as well, because she very cleverly had created this habit of nightly going out to prayer and walking through the camp. So when she walked out that night with the head and her maidservants, no one thought that she was doing anything unusual. Yeah. And then she walked down. It's great. It's like a scene from a movie.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
And there's another painting by Klimt, the modern art modern guy of Holofernes, which I hadn't realised. Oh, exactly. Yeah, exactly. I thought you knew it. Exactly. That pops up on Wikipedia this morning, and there is a head in there. You go, well, where's the head? And you sort of look at it, oh, there's the head down there. And it was quite controversial at the time, because Judith obviously represents. Oh, yeah. But it's fascinating, and presumably, Judith obviously represents a very independently minded.
Well, it's interesting for me, if you look in some of the early judges, how respected women were back then, and how many women actually did take a leading role in Israel at a time when you'd have thought, whoa, wait a minute, surely this is a hugely patriarchal society. But I don't think the early Israelites were as patriarchal as we perhaps put them down. That's interesting. Because there are women that have a leading role and are respected.
Strong.
Yes.
But it's very interesting though, because what Holofernes says in what we read yesterday was actually appalling when he invites her over. And it was sort of bigoted man, sort of alpha male in a sense. I've never really quite. He said she would be upset if we didn't try to seduce her, which I thought, wow.
Yes.
Is that you should check out exactly what he said. It is shocking.
Yeah. But again, is some of this a little bit of propaganda against the enemy?
Possibly.
To paint him in a light that could not.
Yes, that is true. Actually, written. Who wrote exactly? Audible. It's a text written by the victors. Yeah, that is true. But it's interesting. But it is an amazing thing. And Judith has sort of gone on. Has Judith sort of been considered is she one of those sort of strong female characters that have gone on? Have you come across Judith a lot outside of this story?
Not really. She crops up as kind of one of the judges of Israel, but not. Oh, okay. Yeah. Right. Not as a major.
Because she goes on to be a sort of well respected into her old age, has a sort of peaceful life. I think dies. Yeah. She's married, has a quiet family life, and is considered a very wise person in Jewish society. Yeah. And then you read Titus for us today.
Yeah.
So what do you make of Titus?
Well, I think the big thing here is telling older women not to drink too much.
Okay, that's good. It's always good.
That one leapt out of me. Oops. But no, I think it's just that we need to, in all that we're doing in our lives and our actions, It's not about, just about the image that we put across on a Sunday. It's about all of our lives reflecting Christ, so that by our daily lives we can hopefully, first of all, not incur the wrath or displeasure of people around us, but also by doing that, then we'll attract more people to Christ if we're seen as a good example to people around us. It's about, our daily lives, as well as making sure that our faith and our Christianity is 24/7, not just for a couple of hours on a Sunday morning.
Right, that's true. And it's interesting because actually that point comes up a little bit in Martin, when you read about Martin Luther, that he's sort of, that's the way that we live our lives, we earn God's grace. And it's not just about a sort of a zero-sum game of sins, and because he had a big problem with, what was that thing, indulgences?
Yeah, oh well. Yes.
He was the first person to go, I think this is not right.
No, well, it's reached an awful level.
Yeah, exactly. And that way, there was a sum game where you could sort of buy off your sins.
Yeah.
And he was saying, guys, this isn't how it works. So I've got him excommunicated. But that is interesting. Yeah, it's about how we need to live our lives. But it is quite interesting that the idea about the slaves here, it kind of seems almost a little bit. I mean, obviously, it's a text written in its day, right? It tells slaves to be submissive to their masters and to give satisfaction and respect. I guess it's about more to do with not the specific. I mean, in those days, slaves were the norm. But I suppose the lesson from that for today is that how we need to basically live with grace and in all that we do to do it with fidelity and.
I suspect at that time they also anticipated that the second coming was going to be very soon. If this was, you get a lot of, in some of the early writings, of assuming, don't rock the boat now, it'll happen in God's time, it'll be fine, just hang on in there for a little while. Well, a little while's been longer than perhaps we would have anticipated, certainly longer than they anticipated. But, it is God's time, and that's fine, and we just need to sit back and wait for him to do, because he knows better than we do.
Indeed, God's timing. Great. Well, there we go. We've been going for a full 7.5 minutes. So I think we've said enough, and thank you very much. Thank you very much, Claire, for joining us. It's really great. And everyone have a fantastic Thursday, and how lovely to be able to do what have I just read today. And so if anyone out there wants to come in and join us in person in this beautiful and very lovely chapel in the mornings, then please do. And then we can do this more often. But bye for now. Bye.